Welcome to the AirCon Vault. Here you can find the recordings of the live streams from Evergle's audio conference. These are made free thanks to our sponsors: A Sound Effect, Aftertouch Audio, Boom Library, S-Mod, Game Audio Learning, Game SoundCon, Kilohertz, Rev Rooms, Soundcuts, Strata from Audio Kinetic, and Evergle, the online home for audio people. We hope you enjoy the video.
Hey everybody, thank you for coming. Thank you AirWiggles for making this conference happen. This is really a nice event for audio professionals. Today I'm here, hello. I'm Ressa, and I'm here with a lecture on navigating creative freedom in game audio. I actually had some problem with too much creative freedom for this lecture. So I started with creating this first slide and then making another version of it and then another version of it. So it was a little bit difficult, but then I just decided that we come here and we have fun. So, okay, whatever. Hello, everybody. So who am I? I'm Ressa Schwarzwald, 15 years in the game industry, almost 16. Worked as a sound design generalist, technical audio designer, composer, audio producer, audio lead, audio director, whoever. So basically all of the positions that the audio professional can cover, I covered. Only I haven't been an audio programmer yet, like the decent audio programmer, though I programmed. So yeah, I've been working at an indie studio first, and then at an indie publisher, then at a game development studio working on VR, PC, and mobile titles. And now I'm running a small audio outsourcing studio called Gamey Audio with a meow. So the story of my life was basically about starting to work as a freelance composer, then learning how to do sound design, as people needed it more than music, and then learning how to implement stuff at some point. And I was interested in audio direction and audio UX holistically along the way. It was a harsh school of life, as there weren't any sound design institutions in Belarus. I'm from Minsk, Belarus. At that time, there was nothing, and I was extremely introverted and not good with people, so it was really difficult. But I was learning all way long. And first, for this lecture, I wanted to give you some insights, but then I found out that my lecture is 1 hour long, so I have all the time in the world for all the stories I got those insights from. So brace yourselves, here we go. Stories from my freelancing past. I basically created the whole comic book for this. And the first strip is a typical situation for a beginning sound designer. The developer said, do whatever you want, I trust you, because he didn't have any specification for some reason. And then when I did whatever I found suitable for the context of the game, he said, oh no, that's not what I expected. That situation taught me to ask for specification first and then to do my job. Almost the same, simple, nothing to explain. So the developer described the task in just 3 words. I let my heart lead the way, and I created something truly amazing, as I thought. The developer said, not entirely what I expected, because you forgot. I didn't forget, I just didn't have this information. But he said, like, yeah, you forgot to add this, this, and that. Gave me some more details. I did that again, and I got into the same situation again. So that happened a couple of times. And I was thinking, like, why? Am I a psychic or something? Read in your mind. That taught me to ask for any details, any materials of the game, any comments before I start my work. It just can really help with the amount of iterations. This typical indie stuff. The programmer of the team, who was also a guitarist, wrote some music, and the developer said, oh, can I actually swear here? I'm not sure. Louis, help me. Can I swear here? Anyways, he said that the music is not good. Please do something we trust you. You know this phrase, yeah? So I did it. And he said, no, that's not what we need. That happened several times. And then, after a couple of iterations, the developer finally uncovered the mystery and said they got used to the music they already had in the game because they've been testing this game all day long with the same music. So I just made, yeah, Liz, can I swear? Please, I need that for my future strips. I forgot to ask that during the pre-production of this lecture. Yeah, so at some point I just made something more decent in their programmer style. The problem is I had all the documents, all the details, everything. It didn't help because they have been listening to that track, yeah, all the time, and they got used to it because of the repetitions. That is how the human brain works. That actually taught me that games are made by people and there is always a human factor. People are always biased. That is totally fine, but from that moment on, I needed to keep that in mind while I was creating something. Yeah, the developer was super upset with the sounds I made. I was like really, really sad about this. I didn't answer him as it was night already, but I was thinking, maybe it's not worth it. Maybe I'm a bad sound designer. I should just quit, you know? And the next day, first thing he said, like, I listened to your sounds with some old headphones, one of the stereo channels. Oh, thank you, Alex. Thank you. I will swear from that moment on a lot. Yeah, praise yourselves. So one of the stereo channels of those headphones was broken, and the headphones were like this kind of thingy. So, human factor again. It taught me to double check if I'm sure that I created something really good. Yeah, just trust yourself, guys. I wasn't always an angel either. I said that the solution for the developer wanted to use wouldn't work because I didn't really have skills to perform that solution. I was an asset maker at that time. It was just in the beginning of my career. And he wanted to make some interactive thing in Unity with platforms and splines. And I told him, no, it's not possible. You can't do that. So nobody knows what would have happened. I'm really not proud of myself in this situation. But the thing is, sometimes we are limiting our creative freedom because of a lack of skills. And I will talk about that later. But the more skills we got, the more creative freedom we actually got. Yeah, this one. It was the beginning of my career. I was studying to become a translator, not even a sound designer. I was an amateur musician, amateur composer, and I was totally bad at mixing. I was making some medieval music, and so you know how I mixed. I just put the reverb, like the reverb FX, into the insert of the master bass. That was a crime, yeah, but that's how I was mixing, yeah. The developer asked for the multi-track. I just sent him all the tracks. I didn't even ask what was that for. And he sent it to some acquaintance to mix them behind my back to a professional audio engineer. Of course, I was devastated. But the thing is, the tracks came back totally ruined because it was supposed to be some medieval orchestral fantasy stuff, like Skyrim style, and it came back Candy Crush Saga style, like totally not what we expected, totally not what I wanted it to look like. So I started mixing them myself, and eventually I changed my university to the audio engineering university, and I became a professional sound engineer. So basically, the more skills you have, the more creative freedom you get. Only by knowing the rules you can break them. Um, yeah, that was also me. I was fighting with the developers about why their opinion was wrong. That made my life harder because the developer didn't trust me anymore after that. It's like when someone says, "You're stupid," and even if it's not true, but you defend yourself like, "No, I'm not stupid." It really feels weird. It really feels like you're not telling all the truth here. So the life lesson for this, which was happening all along the way for like 5 or 6 years of the beginning of my career, was that trust is key to creativity, and the more trust is between you and the developer, the more freedom you have to create what you want. And if the developer doesn't like it, like, ask what is wrong and fix it. Don't be a bitch like me. Yeah, didn't do well for me. Yeah, I was trying to do my best. And by best, I meant putting as many instruments or layers in the track of the sound as I could. And once I received this project, the developer ordered a soundtrack for a game about some character who's got an amnesia and was trying to recall what was happening to him before he got into this hospital. And the soundtrack was like one note played with the piano key for the first level. It was a loop. It wasn't even just a one shot that was played, that was programmed to play some some amount of times during the level. It was just the loop of me pushing the key on the keyboard. For the second level, it was two keys, two notes. For the third level, it was three notes. So he was kind of recalling what was happening to him. And in the end of the game, the last level, the boss level, you hear the whole melody that the character has recalled with some arrangement finally. That was really difficult with that mindset that I had. And that project got me a huge lesson for developing hard skills. So the takeaway here is sometimes we have internal restrictions for our creativity that don't make sense at all because we are also people and we are also biased, you know. Yeah, typical introverted kind of stuff. I was working super inspired, in my lane, focused, flourishing, and suddenly the developer called me on the phone to discuss some new feature, which was actually great as I got some new info on the project, but it totally killed my inspiration fully. Those situations were happening all the time, and it took me long enough to understand that I should either divide the day by the time for calls and the time for creativity or focus time when no one can reach me, or just specialize. And that's what I chose for in the end. Now I'm the manager. So now it's one of the functions of gaming audio. We leave creators to their focused process and take the communication in our hands. So I was quite confused trying to balance creativity and productivity. And a couple of takeaways I got, I will share with you guys. Always ask questions. The more information you get, the more precise you are. Like all the documents, game builds, concepts, mood boards, references, whatever you can get from the developer, get everything. People are biased. Yeah, I think we have a hand from Vincent. Are you are you able to talk, or do you have a question? No, no questions yet. I'm totally lost. Okay, if you can write what you wanted to ask in the chat, I can probably, yeah, I can probably answer your question. Yes. Oh, I feel seen. That is so nice. So yeah, always ask questions. Yeah. Yeah, no problem, no problem. But just if you have questions, put them in the in this question mark Q&A folder. Yeah, and then I will answer them. Lewis taught me what to do with that. So now I'm all set. Yeah, back to the takeaways. People ordering stuff have their own biases and their own taste in art. Just, hey, yes, study it for every day, and eventually you will see patterns and you will recognize the types of the clients that will really help you with your job. Check if you have biases and self-restrictions yourself, because you're also a person. You can also be biased. Answer yourself. Are you a manager or a creator? That is not black or white. This is a spectrum, but it is a good thing to know about yourself. What do you like more? Polish your soft skills, use diplomacy. This is an amazing tool for building trust between you and the developer. Trust gives you more creative freedom. Learn from your mistakes and fails. Yeah, the content you create is a work of art. Again, that is my opinion, but I believe in that truly. If someone tells you, don't get too attached to your creation, it is not you, but it's what you did, yeah, it's bullshit. It's not true at all. So things that you process through the lenses of your personality and experience to create something. They are real. It is what life and creativity is about, I believe. So please get too attached to your creation. It is absolutely normal. And it is also okay to be an artisan, not an artist, if you are not that creative. No shame in that. So just do whatever you want. What am I talking about here? Later, when I started outsourcing some of my work, and especially when one of our clients asked me to create an audio team for them from scratch, so I had to hire people and grow them into a fully functioning team, I got the view from the other side. This QR code actually leads to an article about the workflows that I created and maintained for that team. The team was working for 9-ish VR, PC, and mobile projects at the same time, so I needed to navigate this. And yeah, that's how I did that. Another bunch of strips. The sound designer working for me now was performing very well. He was amazing. But once he made a bunch of shitty sounds. And when I asked him, what is wrong? He said, that was the only library that I had. Like, really, it taught me to pay attention to what the person leans towards and specializes in, and also taught me to be more precise when talking about the resources that are available to the team. Because sometimes clients are willing to cover the costs of the software or even the hardware that you need for the project, and there is no need for restrictions in this case. And almost the same situation I had with a composer. Yeah, gave me audio. The composer I was working with was having trouble with the microdynamics of the orchestral VSTs. Usually she was recording live instruments and rarely worked with MIDI, but she wanted to be assigned to that project because it was some new skill to gain and also money. So yeah, she was really bad at this microdynamics. I was giving her thousands of feedbacks on this and other like small things. And then at some point I asked her to share the screen with the project. And it appeared that all of the notes that were in her project were like 127. Oh my God, in velocity. So then I showed her how to work with velocity. But yeah, I was kind of shocked because she was a really good composer. She could really perform well, but with MIDI, she wasn't good. So, I mean, don't let technical restrictions narrow your creative freedom down. If you know that you don't have means to perform the task, better make it clear before you start, because the developer might help you. Otherwise, thank you. Otherwise, it screws your reputation. That was painful. We had a composer on the project. He was making amazing music for the racing game. No spoilers. And he just made some nice sketch. We wanted to put that in the game, but it needed to be polished for the demo of the game. I asked him, could you polish this track a little bit? So what he did, he has been polishing the track for the whole month. And then he gave us the bill. The thing is, he was on hourly rate. So he had creative freedom limited by the specification, but not by the working hours. It taught me to estimate the time the outsourcer can actually spend on the task with the outsourcer, sign it, and seal it. Like the contract saying the performer can work not more than 20 hours a week is a real asset here, really helps. Oh, this was very painful for the sound designer. This was not me, this was the game designer. I specifically showed it in this strip. So the sound designer from my team was attached to the project because the producer of the team wanted only one sound designer to perform everything. Controversial, wasn't perfect, but it somehow worked. So I just was kind of okay with that. But the game designer from that team had really low social skills, and he was giving the sound designer really harsh feedback, unfiltered. The sound designer was very scared of doing anything beyond the scope, anything beyond whatever was written in the task tracker, the specification. He was just super precise. And then the game designer was really unhappy with that. He said, like, you are not creative. Why? Really, why? So it made me realize that it's really good idea to have someone audio related to do diplomacy in those kinds of situations. And also, that was the moment when I figured out that the more developed soft skills the sound designer has, the more likely I will sign that person as a project lead. And that really helped me at a later stage when I created Game Audio and we were working with different projects because we assign a project lead or an audio director to the project, and they're co-developing with a team. And then they can choose the sound designers that work for them in that team. I mean the sound director. So we have like one person communicating with the team, and then all the other specialists that are working through this sound director with the team. Yeah. I've received, especially working with asset makers, I've received a lot of like clipping sounds, sounds with weird names, weird formats, even silence, because sometimes people just bounce wrong tracks or whatever, yeah? And that taught me to make guidelines compulsory to learn. Sometimes bureaucracy is a good thing. There is no creative freedom in naming. This is a dictatorship, especially if it's for the game events or parameters attached to the game in the middleware. And it also applies to formatting and the overall quality. No creative freedom in this. That was the situation I was talking before about, but now I was on the other side. I always enjoy it most when I give the audio person some broad specification, ideally like the game materials, the vision document, and the event list, and leave it be. So at that time, the sound designer was really lost. I gave him the game design document, the materials. We didn't develop the vision because I wanted him to develop the vision for that game. He wasn't the best at audio direction at the time. He wasn't that professional and wasn't that creative in that matter. Just wanted to make assets. So he was totally lost in different options that he got, and he couldn't follow the game design document at all. So it can be tricky to give someone full freedom if the specialist is a junior. Sometimes middles do that too. They just need some restrictions to boost their creativity, just pay attention to how the person works best, because for some of the talents, it is better to work with full creative freedom. For some of them, it is better to work with a lot of restrictions. This is, again, also a spectrum. Oh, yeah, the sound designer was so specialized in the gun sounds. Then, when I asked him to make monster sounds, he was really panicking and he couldn't perform. So, what he did, he was basically making some basic stuff, some really simple stuff, while the project needed something beyond creativity. Taught me to pay attention to the skill set again, or if I have time to teach the person, just take this time to teach the person. Yeah, this is my favorite story of all. Once, when I was working with a team of sound designers, I needed to go on a vacation for 2 weeks. And there were a couple of tasks I couldn't finish. Probably I just didn't want to finish them. So what I did, I gave everyone on the team tasks of upper grades. And I really didn't expect. The results were shocking. When I came back, all the people from my team were doing better than I expected. And moreover, most of them found really creative solutions to the tasks of my grade that I considered boring. That was a really shocking experience to me. Not that I didn't believe in them, but I didn't know that they can do this if given that amount of responsibility. So with greater power comes greater responsibility, and with greater responsibility comes greater creativity. It boosts learning, and if you can afford it, if it doesn't put everything into chaos, just give people responsibility and see what happens. Some takeaways from this period of my life: pay attention to what the person leans towards, what they specialize in. Don't let technical restrictions narrow your creative freedom down. Be honest. If you cannot perform, tell the developer honestly, like, I cannot. They can help you. Do estimations and sign on them. Polish your soft skills. Use diplomacy. Even if you're the developer, it works for both sides. There is no creative freedom in naming, quality, and formatting. And yeah, greater responsibility boosts learning, and it also boosts creativity. Yeah, so over the years, I've been returning to this thought. What if there was someone in between who knew how the creator thinks and what the person who orders creative stuff needs, to make it smooth and to give them directions to go straight to the point where the project is done and nobody has been harmed in the process. And I decided to become such a person. Yeah, please put your questions in the Q&A tab. I don't see any questions yet there. So, yes. So I decided to become such a person. So now this is basically the idea of gaming audio. We are the middle management between the talents and the developers, with knowledge of how both of the sides think and work. This for sure required some visioning and some work-life philosophy, so I came up with a game audio hierarchy of needs. Imagine the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but for understanding game audio. The basic layer is to make good sounds. Like, you're a sound designer, you make good sounds, that's it. You implement that amazingly. Yeah, that's amazing. Keep doing this. Normally, when talking about game sound design, it's emphasized that the goal for what we do is to help the player experience something. I could say something unique, but let's just stick with something. But there is some meta gameplay behind it. If you look closer, it appears that audio production is all about people. So there are people doing it, there are people ordering it for their games, and I believe the work should be fun and challenging, and the highest reward for working with games is happiness. So as I see it, maybe I'm an idealist, but as I see it, the highest abstraction level here is about happiness. There are two sides to game audio production, always. Those who produce, like the talents, and those who order, the customers or the developers, whoever. As the idea of gaming audio is to be the mediator between those two, we have to negotiate different things like the budgets, the time spent on the project, the amount of creative freedom given to us and expected from us by the developer. And we also need to maintain that everybody understands each other to make the player visible. Yeah, also like the Dark Souls series. Why not? Yeah. So we need to maintain all this stuff, understand, make sure that they understand each other and the workflows work. If money and time are pretty easy to count, everything is different with such an ephemeral theme as creative freedom. We had some bumps along the way, and I won't spend any of your time telling stories anymore, sadly, but I will share the insights we got. Those things really made our management life easier. So what I came up with, this is an RTPC, yes. Creative freedom is a parameter that can be measured. It's like an RTPC curve, where X is the amount of creative freedom given or expected, and Y is time. So ideally, trust is gained over time. So if you start at 0, you can go to the maximum level pretty soon if you keep building the trust all the way. But the first tricky thing here is it's barely possible you start at the same point. So in this situation, the talent is feeling far more confident than the power that they got. It is good only if you're a top-notch specialist and the developer is just denying that. And then you will get this kind of situation. You will get to 100%. Everything will be okay. Yeah, I see some questions, and I think, yes, I will really answer them later. Yeah, that's interesting to talk about. Yeah, another situation. The developer is trusting you more than you're trusting yourself. Like, this is good. When I was modeling this situation, I was thinking of somebody like a sound designer who just finished their first project and the project got viral. And now everybody wants this sound designer to work for them. In this situation, it is really good because the talent finally starts believing in themselves and the developer is also like, yay, go. Oh, no, it's not this situation. This one. Sorry, I misled you. And I eventually got to 100%. So you see, I'm being very optimistic here. In real life, it's not always like this, but we'll talk about this later. If you're aligned at any point of this graphic, it's okay. Otherwise, you might not be the right person for the task. We had it sometimes with the free spirits who were assigned to the projects like, do the same that you hear in the reference. That was basically the specification. And those talents who wanted to be super creative were suffering, and we got lots of iterations. The thing is, here the developer was satisfied with one outcome only, and they didn't need to build up any trust. They didn't need to give us more creative freedom over time. So what we needed to do in this situation, we just needed to find a person that could handle this over time. And we changed this exact talent to another one who could align with the developer. But yeah, the second tricky thing is everything changes over time. If you remember my story of arguing with the developer, we started somewhere higher up, and then we just went to 0, which was very sad. But good news, those situations can be fixed. Unfortunately, they cannot be reversed, but they can be fixed. So on this graphic, you can see the developer and the talent. This is totally fictional, by the way, I hope. They met somewhere, let's say at the conference, yeah. And they built up some trust. But then at some point, the talent decided to push. The developer was still at the same pace. And then the developer just noticed that the talent was trying to do more than the developer was expecting him to do. And the developer didn't like it. So they started micromanaging the talent, but the talent kept pushing. And then at some point, they aligned, they got to the plateau, and then the talent decided to push again. And given that they knew each other long enough, they just decided to be good friends again. And the project went well, and they were happy until their last day, and they died on the same day. No, it wasn't supposed to be a depressive story. It's just everything was okay. The project was released, and they started working on a new project right away. Yeah, I've been talking a lot about building up trust, but this is like a broad topic, how to build up trust, really. From my experience, I will also share stuff from my experience. The first thing is to polish your hard skills, to be professional. If you're not professional enough, you cannot get the amount of creative freedom that other people can with that set of skills that is needed for the developer. Use empathy. By this, I mean, try putting yourself into the developer's shoes. Some people are easily triggered by stuff that you consider normal to say. Some people need to work beyond normal working hours, especially indie developers, and so on and on. Just always always use your empathy. Know your place. Yeah. By this, I mean that some people really care about hierarchy, and others rather want you to be their bro. If you want them to trust you, just determine it and act accordingly. Know when to push and how hard. If you remember the graphic, there are moments when you can take initiative and be more creative, and that's a win-win for both of you, or you and the developer, I mean. Always give more or give rather than take. It might be a controversial thought, like you're given more for the same amount of money. What the hell, yeah? But actually, you're still winning as you train the habit of being better than expected, and it makes you a better specialist. And also, your reputation gets better as well. So people talk in the industry, and you will be talked about as a really good specialist. Be pleasant to talk to. We usually receive feedback like a show-off time, yeah? We usually receive feedback like, it is so comforting to work with you, or I was so exhausted after the previous call. And then we talked, and now I'm super energized and I'm super inspired. And it is like so heartwarming, because this is basically the idea of what we're doing. Be curious, be creative when needed. Ask why there are certain restrictions. Give ideas to the developer if you see that they are lost and they don't have any vision on audio. And also mind your own business. Like now I'm just looking at the slide and like I'm telling you to shut up and do a job. But really, I meant good things by this. Mind your own business. There might be wrong reasons for creativity or restrictions. Like the situation, the talent doesn't have skills to produce a certain type of work and avoids that by being creative, yeah? This is certainly the problem of the talent, because the solution to that problem is just to acquire the skills needed for the task. Do your job, yeah? But also, the developer can just fire this guy or girl or non-binary person, whatever, and hire somebody else. Why not? They have freedom to do that if the contract is okay with that. Another situation, the developer gets used to a placeholder and refuses to change it. This is a problem of the developer, so they need to get rid of their own biases. but also the talent can do something in this situation. A couple of years ago, I was in Poland at a conference, and there was Adam Skorupa, the composer of Witcher 1, Witcher 2. So he told us the story that he created this main theme for Witcher 2, and he came to the game producer. He said, here's the masterpiece. The producer said, no, this is not. I'm not putting that in the game. Just go write something else. So what Adam did, he came to the programmers and he said, let's just put this placeholder in the game and we will just try it out. Let's just try it out. I need to test it. And then the whole team, for the whole process of production, was listening to this theme every day, every time they launched the game. And eventually, everybody was so used to it that everybody liked it, also the game producer, and the game was released with this theme as the main theme. It can also happen. Why not? Yeah, and I also wanted to talk to you about what boosts creativity. It is especially good to know when you're working with talents. That's why we're asking those things while people are applying for our outsourced database, but also some of them are fair for the developers too. So first thing, responsibility. It really boosts everything. If you remember the street about that. So I still use it. Yay, Damon. I still use it. I still use it with a lot of people. And especially it works well when they want to grow in their career, but they're stuck at some point. And then you just give them more responsibility and they're like, okay, now I can do whatever I want finally. It's really good for them. Favorite things to do. One of the questions in our form for applying for our database is, what is your favorite genre? What do you like to do beyond game sound design? Yeah. And then when we get a project, we can just assign the certain project to the person that loves doing that most. And this is like a perfect match almost all the time. Unlimited creative freedom or challenge of limited creative freedom. This works for different types of people. Just learn who you're working with. Yeah, for some people, like unlimited freedom is better. They're like free spirits doing their best when they have no limitations. And other people really work best with a lot of restrictions. For example, I remember like 10 years ago, I don't remember, probably 10 years ago, yeah, there was a contest on the internet when you needed to create anything you could using any FX you can, but the source must have been just a piece of noise. Just white noise or pink noise, I don't remember exactly, but it was just a generated piece of noise. You couldn't generate any other sound wave. You could just use this. And people came up with so many ideas. It was just gun sounds, cinematic sounds, some UI sounds, and it was totally amazing, just made out of one small sample. So yeah, for some people, challenge of limited creative freedom is the best. Money. Those who say that money doesn't motivate are not hungry enough, I think. Appreciation of people's values. Kind words towards both of the sides, both the developers and the talent, works amazingly. And what we also do, especially when working with the asset makers who are not co-developing with the team and they have limited contact with the game producer, game designer, or just the developer. If we give the materials, no, I need to start with the beginning of the process. So, is it a box? Is it a bread? Thank you. So yeah, the beginning of the process. The developer orders something. We create the specification for something and send it to the talent, say sound designer. Yeah. And this sound designer creates a pack of assets for this very simple project. The developer integrates the assets themselves. So we evaluate what the talent has done, and then if everything is okay, we give this back to the developer. So I'm talking about this kind of situation here. And then developers, sometimes they are really fascinated with what they get. And sometimes they're like, oh my God, this composer made such a nice track, or this sound designer just made something unbelievably good. What we do, we make a screenshot, we send it to the talent. People get absolutely happy because of that. And like without names, just the text. This is just amazing for them. Seeing people the way they want to be seen. By that, firstly, I mean, don't underestimate people, believe in them. Sometimes you can meet a junior sound designer who has a lot of potential, but they don't have enough skills, so you can just teach them if you have time for that and budgets for sure, but it really pays off. Because if you believe in someone, they can just create something genius because you believe in them. One of the reasons. And also, to this point, sometimes, almost all the time, it happens that the developer sees their game as something else. It looks quite shitty in the pre-production or as a demo version, but the developer wants it to become something else, and they explain to you what they want. The thing is, you are the person or the team to help it look like he sees it. So with your audio, you can really enhance the game and it will become something else. You're the magician. Dream of becoming popular. Here, I'm talking about putting the talents' names into the credits of the games or making it possible legally to put stuff in their portfolios on their websites, because most of them are freelancers. At first sight, it might look crazy, like the developer can just go to the talent directly and they don't need us. Yeah. The good thing is if they're okay together, they don't need the mediation anymore. So they really don't need us. That's only fair. But if they find it better than that we are there, they will just not betray us. And I think if somebody did that behind our backs, we would just put those people in the blacklist and never ever work with them again if they didn't consult with us, yeah? But that didn't happen ever with us, luckily. Fingers crossed. Yeah, that was it. So here are the links to my LinkedIn, to our website, Gamey Audio with Meow, and my email. You can just contact me via email if you are a talent willing to work with the audio managers in the middle. Yeah, and now I'm getting to the questions. Okay. Number one. How do you decide which skills to work on and which to ignore? At the time, at least, to avoid having your creativity stifled by the lack of skill. For example, if you notice if you need to work on multiple skills but cannot allot the time for it all at once, or in a case where a specific skill is something you don't want to learn or feel comfortable learn. Well, I have a perfect answer to this one. Specialize. Yeah, and for the first part of the question, how do you decide which skills to work on and which to ignore? That depends on how important the project is to you at that time. You just think of it not as something happening in the moment, but of something that might that might become a pillar of your career later. So if you need, let me make an analogy. Like, for example, you are, like I was, yeah, an asset maker, and then the developer asks you to implement that. This is always needed. Now it's more and more needed for asset makers to have implementation or integration skills on a basic level. So in the future, in 5 years, in like 10 years, it will definitely be good for your career. So yes, take this skill. If it is something like you are really keen on making, let's say, sci-fi sounds, yeah, it is better, like, this is also my opinion, but I'm working with different people and I really like people who are specialized in something, because then I can just pick the person for the project. If I have a project with the sci-fi guns, I know who is the best sound designer who is specialized in sci-fi guns, and then I just pick that person, I put them in the project, everyone is happy. So I would suggest that you do this. Probably it is difficult to start your career specialized. So probably it's better if in the beginning of your career you become, you just get to know all the stuff a little bit, and then you choose what to specialize in. Yeah, I think, yeah, I've answered everything. Nice. What was it? I should probably start from the bottom of the questions, yeah? Yes. How do you deal with clients who are suggesting a direction you don't agree with, or even think it is straight up bad? We have a call. It helps really to have the personal conversation with your faces. So it helps. Also, if we know why it is not a good decision, we suggest a couple of better decisions for them, a couple of better directions. And sometimes with bigger clients, we really need to make a whole presentation in PowerPoint. That happens usually with middlewares, because when the developer wants to make a game with some complicated systems on pure Unity, and then we see that they are not willing to integrate those systems, so they're probably waiting for us to integrate them. We really create the presentation for them, showing the audio middlewares off and showing how those middlewares can be useful for them in this situation. This is actually an example of giving more than people are expecting. And sometimes we are really putting a lot of our time in the intakes that don't get any further. But I believe that this makes our reputation better. So yeah, we are suggesting better directions. That one I have answered. What projects have you worked on that you're most proud of? Most proud of. At the moment, it is basically Pathologic 3 because it's legendary. A couple of unannounced projects. Also, Nitro Nation World Tour, because we did a lot of different cool stuff there. And yeah, we worked with automobile engines for that project. That was amazing. And I also grew one of the project leads on this one. So yeah, also into the radios, probably. And now there has been announced a small project called Deep Pixel Melancholy. It is made on Construct. And that was also a huge experiment because we didn't tell that yet on LinkedIn or somewhere else. But that was a management experiment because my audio producer, my co-founder, wanted to work on that. And I told her, like, you don't have enough time to do that, but she wanted to do that. So we compromised that we hire a wannabe audio director. He's actually a programmer and a musician, but he wanted to be audio director. Like, he wanted to get into management first. And he had a sound designer and also a composer on this project. So the sound designer was an intern, and the composer was just a normal composer. And my audio producer was just observing and helping with that. And in the end, she ended up implementing stuff into the project. Like she always ends up doing technical sound design stuff, but that's just who she is. So the project appeared to become so good because of the audio, and we are receiving a lot of feedback that the audio is amazing. So I hope the project is still in development. There is the demo out, but I hope that it will really be a good case in our management career, that we just did this experiment and the experiment really worked. Really proud of that. Yeah. Skills? What is your favorite aspect of audio at work? Oh, yeah. My favorite aspect of audio. Like, I think this is audio UX. So basically, I enjoy making vision documents, most audio direction also, and managing the team probably. I've always been kind of a manager. I've always leaned onto like my social skills and building up my career. But I also like technical sound design a lot. I'm really into that. A couple of years ago, I was making this pet project, Ressa and the Robotic Orchestra, where I created different musical instruments, like weird musical instruments from whatever I could find, like game controllers, whatever else. And then I created this accordion of Nintendo Switch Wincon with Wise and Unity and cracking Nintendo Switch stuff. That was crazy, but I really enjoyed that. So yeah, management and technical sound design it is, dear Anonymous. Can you give an example of your dream of creative freedom on a project? Oh, basically, this is when the developer trusts us, and it is really true. So it is not like on the first slide that I showed you when the developer says, I trust you, but then they're like, oh, what the hell have you created? This is not what I expected. Yeah. When they really trust us and they are okay with any decision that we make. This is like the ideal situation that we actually have with iSpeak Lodge on Pathologic 3. So we are really happy to work with that because they really listen to us. If we have some weird idea, they're like, please do. That's amazing. Yeah, I just love indie developers. I think I've answered all the questions, and now I got the chat. Oh, thank you, Damien. Yeah, we had a lot of great times with this project and Wise Up on Air, and then also Damien helped me to get to GDC. I spoke at GDC Audio Summit 2021, I think it was. Yeah, that was really, really cool. So yeah. Do you have any other questions or anything to add? Damien is typing. This is just so cool here. So I feel so good. Like this is a very warm company to be in. Thank you, Damien, for sharing the links. Yeah, nice. So if you want to connect, thank you very much, Helem. If you want to connect, just contact me. I'm quite busy lately, so I can. It might happen that I'm slow with the answer, but I will answer you anyway. Yeah, thank you guys for coming to my lecture. This means really a lot to me. Yeah. Okay. Oh, thank you, Damien. You're a superstar. No, you're a superstar. Okay. Thank you very much, and have a great end of the day, beginning of the day, whatever you're having, and a great weekend.